Hello everyone, welcome to Enhanced Automation. In the previous episode, we understood how generative AI and large language model works. We learned about the LLMs, tokens, context window. We understood the temperature concept. We also got to know about the hallucination, and we understood one very important idea which says us that the LLM generates its response based on the learn pattern and the context provided to it. Now, Rahul understand all of this concept. You guys understand all of this concept. So, with the confidence what you have built, along with that, you guys might have using the AI more frequently. Similarly, Rahul start using the AI more frequently in his daily QA work. But very quickly, he noticed something strange, and I'm hoping that you guys also noticed it. The issue was sometimes AI gives him an amazing answer. Sometimes the answer is almost useless. Same AI, same QA engineer. So what is changing? Let's continue the Rahul's story. Rahul gets a new requirement which says that user story is about account locking rules. A registered account should be able to log in with the valid email and password. If the password enters an incorrect for 3 times continuously, the account will be locked for 30 minutes. A logged customer should not be able to log in even with the correct password in for the 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, user will be able to log in with the valid credentials. So the moment he received this requirement, he normally thinks that let's start the analyzing it. But later on, he got a thought in mind. I have a generative AI. Why I am doing all this thing manually? Why don't I ask AI to create the test cases for this? So Rahul opened his AI assistant and writes, give me a test case for login. AI responded with few of these test cases, which was two basics. AI gave the test case which talks about the valid login, invalid username, invalid password, and empty inputs. Rahul looks at this response and says, that's it? Where is account lock scenario? Where is 30-minute validation? Where is boundary cases? Where is consecutive attempt scenarios? What about the security related scenarios? After seeing this response from AI, Rahul becomes very disappointed. He says AI is giving very basic test cases. But let's think about this now. What exactly Rahul did ask? He just gave this one line which says that give me a test case for login. You guys only tell me in the comment section whether this test case is not covering the login functionality. It is covering, right? So AI is not behaving wrong here. But what is wrong? The wrong thing is he did not give the requirement to AI. Like he want a test case for login on what requirements? He did not provided that. And he is expecting AI to understand that information which was not provided. And that brings us to a today's topic, prompt engineering. So let's go one step deeper and understand about the prompt engineering. Before understanding the prompt engineering, let's understand what is prompt. So, prompt is basically the instructions or inputs that we provide to a generative AI system. For example, I am writing a single two words explain selenium. This is a prompt. I am writing generate 5 API test cases. This is a prompt. Analyze this error. This is a prompt. But prompt can also be much more detailed. For example, act as a senior API QA. Analyze this open API spec. Output negative boundary tests in JSON format. So for every scenarios, whenever AI will be writing a test cases, if you are giving this detailed prompt, AI will be having much more detail. And the difference here is The second prompt gives the AI more information what exactly we want. And that's where the prompt engineering become very useful. So let's understand in the simple term what is prompt engineering. So prompt engineering is a practice of designing clear and structured instruction for an AI system so that AI system can produce a more meaningful, more useful, more precise, more relevant response. But I don't want you guys to think of a prompt engineering as some magical syntax. Think about it like a communication. Imagine Rahul has a junior QA engineer named Sam, right? Rahul goes to Sam and asks, test login. He's simply saying, test login. This is what the instruction Rahul giving to Sam. Now, probably Sam will be looking at the Rahul's face and asking, what exactly should I need to test? What are the business rules? Do you want me to cover positive cases? Do you want me to test negative cases? Do you want me to cover security perspective as well? Or you want me to write the API validation? What is the expected output? Whatever the instructions which you are giving to me, it is vague. Now Rahul says, in a structured instructions, analyze this user story, focus on 3 attempt account lock, output a table with step and expected result. Or in our simple language, if we will say, Rahul tells to Sam that Sam, analyze this login requirement. Do focus on your functional testing. Also cover the positive, negative, and boundary scenarios. And please pay attention to 3 attempt account lock rule and give me the result in a table with scenarios, steps, and expected result. So after listening this requirement from Rahul, Sam will be having much more clarity. The same principle applies when communicating with generative AI. So let's help Rahul to improve his bad prompting. To improve that bad prompting, instead of memorizing the different prompting techniques, I want you guys to just remember a simple structure which says RCTCO. Remember this, guys. RCTCO. What is RCTCO? RCTCO is role, context, task, constraint, and output. Let's understand each one of these in detail so that you will be understand how to write a very good prompt. So R and C, which stands for role and context. So what does role means here? Firstly, Rahul changes his prompt. Initially, he was telling, give me a test cases. Now he is writing, act as a senior QA automation architect, experience in web and API security. So this is how he is defining a role in the prompt. So what this will do, this role will set the expectations and from which perspective AI should think of. It sets the tone, it sets the expertise level so that based on this role our AI will be thinking about because we are providing a role and with the role we are telling an AI in which perspective we want AI to approach the problem. Now, the next is context. Context means to say the actual requirement. So, the moment we have done with our role, the next step we will be giving a complete requirement. So, after providing that role, act as a senior QA automation architect experience in web and API security, Here is the user story. Registered user entering invalid password 3 times consecutively are logged for 30 minutes. Just paste your acceptance criteria as a context. Now, AI will be aware about your context. AI knows the actual business rule which you want to cover as part of your requirement. This is much better now. Do you remember the episode 3 we talk about the context window? We learned there that the model can only work with the information which is available to it in its current context. And whatever relevant knowledge that model is having or model is provided, the model will work on that only. So if your business rule is important, please provide it. If your API contact is important to be uh, taken consideration, please provide it. If your acceptance criteria are important, please provide it. Don't expect AI to magically know your private project or your private information or your project requirement. Let's move to next. Now we have task and constraint. So Rahul needs to clearly explain what he wants AI to do. He writes that analyze requirement, generate positive, negative, boundary, security, and recovery test scenarios. Now AI knows exactly what type of work Rahul expects. This is especially useful for QA because the word test this can mean hundred of different things. If we are saying test this, it means functional testing, API testing, UI testing, security, performance, accessibility, compatibility. So the clearer the task, the more focused response can become. So that's what about the task. We have to explicitly mention that what we want our AI to perform. The next is constraint. Constraint means to say do not assume any functionality that is not mentioned in the requirement. In the constraint, we are giving a information or we are telling an AI that do not assume anything. If our constraint is proper, AI will not hallucinate. So Rahul tells to AI, do not assume any functionality which is not mentioned in the requirement. If the requirement or information required to create a valid scenario is missing, identify it is a requirement gap. But do not invent the business rule by your own. This is extremely useful for QA engineer. Remember what we learned in episode 3, hallucination. AI generates something that sounds correct even when it does not have enough information. So if AI needs something to generate the test cases which is not provided in the requirement, AI will automatically assume it. And the moment assumption start, hallucination begins. So clearly tell in your prompt that do not assume functionality which is not mentioned and give the limitation maximum 15 scenario and do not write automation code yet. So this is what the instructions as part of the construction constraint we will be giving to AI. So in a simple term, constraint tell AI what not to do as well as what to do, right? So that's how task and constraint is. Very basic difference in the task and constraint. Task says this is what you have to do. Constraint says this is what you not to do and this is what you have to specifically do. Now, the next is output and example. So Rahul adds the one more line in the prompt which says provide the result in a table with test ID, scenarios, precondition, test steps, expected results, priority. Why is this useful? Because Rahul does not just want the information. He wants the information in a format that he can actually use. Imagine AI gives you a 2000 word paragraph describing all these test cases. Technically, it answered your questions, right? But practically, it is difficult to use. So that's why it is always recommended to give the output format and also provide some examples if you want particular format. Example is like scenario user entering the wrong password given user is on login page when user enters the invalid password, then what happened? Describe that so that you will be having a better response. Now look at the complete prompt. So earlier we were saying, or Rahul was saying, give me a test case for login. But now Rahul is saying, act as a senior QA engineer, pasting the requirement here, and task is to generate the positive, negative, and boundary scenario. Constraint is do not assume extra rule and maximum 18 cases only, 15 cases only. And output is mark down the table with test ID, steps, and expected result. Providing a prompt in this way, you will see that your AI is not going here and there more, and your AI will have a better understanding of your requirement and you will have a better output. Rahul noticed something even more interesting. He has been using AI to generate the test cases, right? But what if he uses AI before test case generation? Rahul changes the task. Before generating test cases, analyze this requirement and identify the ambiguities, missing information, and question that should be clarified with the product owner, right? So now start asking questions. For example, what exactly count as a consecutive failed attempt? If the user enters two wrong passwords and then one correct password, should the failed attempt counter reset? What happens if the user attempts another incorrect password after the account is locked? Is the 30-minute timer measured from the third failed attempt or it is from the first attempt? Can the user reset the password while the account is locked? So all are these open questions, right? So Rahul looks at these questions and now AI is doing something more valuable than simply generating the test cases. AI is finding a requirement gaps now. And this is where AI can become very useful for QA engineer because good testing does not start with automation. Good testing always start with asking a good question in requirement analysis call or story refinement calls. So now let's understand a few terms like zero shot prompting. The name sound complicated, right? Zero shot prompting. The idea is simple behind this name. Rahul asked AI to perform a task without giving it an example. So instruction without example. How it look like? It will look like this. Generate a 5 negative login test scenarios for the provided requirement. Rahul provide instructions but no sample output here. That's essentially zero shot prompting. And for many simple QA tasks, this may be enough. In the prompting, you need not to give the example. If you are not giving an example in your prompt, which means it is a zero shot prompting. I hope you understand this point. If you are writing your prompt without any example, which means that it is a zero shot prompt. Now, suppose Rahul wants test cases in a very specific style used by his team. So he gives AI one more example. For example, follow this format scenario, this, login with incorrect password. Precondition is customer account exists. Step is open login page, enter register email, enter incorrect password, click login. Expected result is an appropriate login error should be displayed. Now, generate additional scenario using the same format. So here Rahul has provided one example, and this is called few shot prompting. Example can be extremely useful when you want AI to follow your team's format, some naming convention, some BDD style format, bug report style, API assertion structure. So instead of spending a huge prompt explaining the format, sometimes one good example explains it better. So I hope now you guys aware about the zero shot and few shot difference, because this is the question which is frequently asking in interviews. So let's break the large task into a steps. Now Rahul becomes very excited. So he writes another prompt. Prompt starting from analyze this requirement, find the gaps, generate 100 test cases, create test data, generate Selenium automation, create API test, generate SQL query, create a Jira defect template, and give me an execution strategy. Lot of things in the prompt, right? But technically, AI may try for this, but is that the best way to work? Are you guys are working in this way, like doing all the things in a one shot? Probably not, right? For complex QA task, breaking the work into a stages can produce a more manageable results. For example, if I am starting with analyzing the requirement, once this step is done, I'll be going to next step, which talks about identifying the missing information. Then I'll be going to next step after clarification, that generate the high level scenarios. Then I'll be going to next step, generate the Gherkin format. Then I'll go into next step, generate the automation code, Selenium code, Playwright code. Then I'll go to the next step, generate the review file or refine the results. So this gives Rahul more control, and more importantly, a human validation point exists between these stages. That's a very important when using an AI in quality engineer. So another powerful use case which Rahul discovered is the AI is not built to create something. We can also ask AI to review something which already created by us. For example, Rahul manually creates the 20 test cases, and we can ask, or Rahul can ask to review those test cases against the requirement, identify the gaps, identify the missing coverage, identify the duplicate scenarios, incorrect assumption. Let me know the boundary condition. Let me know the scenario that do not map the requirement. So this can be very powerful because Rahul remains the primary tester here. AI will act as a secondary reviewer. The same approach can be used for the automation code. Same approach can be used for the API test, SQL query, bug reports, and anything. In your general term, if you're writing an email, first write it yourself and then give it to AI and ask for the suggestions. So you can use the AI in a different way as well. Now, let's move to the next important topic, security and data privacy first. Don't share everything with AI. Now, Rahul learns another very important lesson today. He is debugging an API, so he thinks I'll copy the entire production request and response and put it into an AI tool. But that request may contain the customer information. authentication token, internal URL, confidential business data. So should Rahul copy paste everything into an public AI tool? What do you guys think about it? Let me know in the comment section. So this is extremely important for QA engineer. We work with production data, we work with customer information, we work with credentials, we work with API keys, we work with database information. So before providing project information to an AI system, understand that your organization policies and the data handling rule for the AI product which you are using. Never blindly copy paste the sensitive information into an AI tool just because it makes it debugging easier. You can use one technique, masking, instead of that particular confidential information. You can provide some random numbers. You can remove the sensitive data. Use the organization approved tool. AI productivity should never come at the cost of your security or privacy. So please make sure, guys, do follow this security and data privacy first. Now, let's use the same framework for the API testing and see how we can take that framework in action. Earlier, the prompt was give me an API test case. This was the bad prompt. Now I am testing the following inputs. Now I'll be writing a prompt in a way. Act as a senior API test engineer. This is my endpoint. Provide your endpoint here. Provide your payload here. Always mask the confidential information and give the task, generate the positive, negative, and boundary API test cases. Give the constraint, validate API status code 201, 400, 400, write 9 responses. Do not assume auth headers. Give me the output in a way like table with test case, request, expected code, and validation. So this is how a basic API testing prompt. Maybe you guys can take it, or I'll provide you, just ping into the comment box. I'll provide you this prompt. You can use this prompt and you will get a much more better response from your AI assistant. Similarly, for the Java or Selenium script, you can write a prompt in a way. Act as a senior automation engineer. The task is to write Selenium for Java plus test ng script for login. The constraint here is use explicit weight, change object model style, and no hardcode password. Locator should be there. In a stable CSS, locator should be there. And the output should be readable Java code with key implementation note. Why I am showing this you guys? Because when I was giving an interview, I got these questions. Can you write a prompt for me? I wrote one normal prompt. Then interviewer asked me, can you write a same prompt for the API testing? Can you write a prompt for the Selenium? So that's why you guys should know all of this. Notice how much more useful this is for you. Now, Rahul is happy. He understands the prompting. He knows how to give the context. He knows how to add the constraint. He knows how to ask for a structured output. He knows to provide the example. So Rahul thinks, great, now I can use the AI for my complete project. Then his manager gives him a challenge. He says, Rahul, instead of manually giving the requirement to AI every time, can we make AI to understand our project document? Rahul asks, what do you mean? His manager says, we already have hundreds of requirements, API documents, test cases, automation documents, defects, and knowledge artifacts. Can AI use all of this information when answering a QA questions? Rahul think maybe I can just paste all the document into the prompt, but there are hundreds of document, maybe thousands. Now Rahul has a new problem. And solving this problem will eventually take us towards one of the most important concept in the enterprise generative AI, which is RAG, RAG means to say retrieval augmented generation. But before we reach RAG, we first need to understand how AI can represent and search information based on the meanings. And for that, we will learn about embedding and vector database. So quick recap for the today's what we learn. We learned prompting, prompt engineer. We see how response is changing based on the prompt and how QA engineers can structure the better instructions using the role, context, task, constraint, output. And for your remember purpose, I gave you a short form RCTCO. It is a framework for the prompt and examples we understood the breaking complex tasks into smaller steps using AI as a reviewer, protecting the sensitive of information, and most importantly, never blindly trust AI generated output. So, if you remember only one thing from today's episode, remember this: don't just ask AI a question, give AI the information and instruction required to perform the task properly. And as a QA engineer, we already have an advantage. We know how to think about requirement, precondition, input, expected result, constraint, and validation. Prompt engineering uses many of these same thinking skills. In the next part of this series, we are going to take what we have learned about generative AI and start applying it much more deeply to actual software testing activities. We will see how Rahul can use AI across the requirement analysis and testing artifacts because Rahul now knows how to communicate with AI and it's a time to put AI to work as a QA assistant. And one important announcement, guys, at the end of this series, we are going to create a AI assistant, and by the end of this series, you guys, whoever watching this, will be having their own QA assistant created by their own. So please be continuously watching the videos. If you're following the complete AI for QA Engineer Zero to Agentic AI series, subscribe to Enhand Automation and continue with us. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching this video. Till the time, keep learning, keep automating. I'll see you in the next episode.